our Almighty God, Creator of heaven and earth, Father and lover of our soul, you sit on your throne of mercy and rule with your love and faithfulness. You are full of grace. We acknowledge your presence in our lives. Nothing is hidden in your eyes, even our challenges and struggles in life. We come to you with faith. We ask not only for our daily spiritual bread, but to seek your forgiveness and undeserving favor to heal our land, our family members, our friends and neighbors, even our enemies with COVID-19 and other diseases. Holy Spirit, help us to deepen our faith and see the opportunity to believe, obey, and worship. As we face this pandemic, you are Lord and God. Encourage us and change our hearts, not to fear, but to be full of hope and find ourselves praying and meditating your word. We believe no works of the enemy prosper to your children. Abba, Father, we believe that your Son Jesus Christ is Lord and Savior. He is the truth and our salvation. Hear our prayers, O Lord, and most of all, not our will, but thy will be done. We pray this in Jesus' name, the name above all names, who was and is to come. Amen.
Walang kasing saya ang Paskong Pinoy. Dumaan man ang problema at pandemya, kayang-kayang lampasan basta't nagdadamayan at nagmamahalan.
Ho, ho, ho! Merry Christmas!
Tuloy na tuloy pa rin ang Pasko dito sa V81 Radio, South Manila.
Ito ang paborito ng bawat Pilipino. Basta all hits, all Pinoy, panalo. Merong kwentong iyakan at tawanan. Kahit nasaan ka man ito'y mapapakinggan.
The views and opinions expressed in the following program are those of the program anchors and producers and do not necessarily reflect the policies and position of this station. Discover the best-kept secrets in metaphysics, law of attraction, science, and spirituality, and listen to practical mystics from around the world. Let's open Pandora's box with Reverend Reg Stan, your metaphysical minister, here in Practical Magic, your practical mystic source. Only here on V81 Radio, South Manila.
Satnam, everyone. My name is Reverend Reg, and I'm here for Practical Magic, and I'm your host for this show, where we remind you that you are actually the magic you've been waiting for. And here in the show, we get to talk about metaphysics, meditation, the power of the spoken word, and anything about consciousness and the law of attraction. But before I proceed, I want to invite all of you for a simple affirmation and meditation. So I encourage all of you to go to your meditation spot. All right. Gently close your eyes and use the right palm to touch the heart. Breathe in and out through the nose while you're touching the heart. Feel your connection to your heart. And let's affirm, I love myself for all that I was, all that I am, and all that I want to become. I am worthy because God made me so. And join me for chanting 3 times, one for ourselves, another one for someone we are praying for, and the rest for our global village. Sat Nam. Sat Nam. Sat Nam. Take one last deep breath. Feel the sound integrate in every cell of your body, every organ, and every aspect of your life. And gently open your eyes. Sat down to all of you. I love doing that, especially when we're tuning in all together. And it's one of the best ways actually to tap into ourselves. And I'm actually very excited tonight because I have the author of Tap Into You and the founder of Tap Into You, Reflections of an Angel, and the creative genius behind Dip Into You and Namaste Sweet Thing, which is actually our topic for tonight. And I'm very happy to introduce to all of you Dr. Anita Powell and her very powerful background. She's a metaphysical counselor, vibe coach, and international spoken word. And a lot of people actually have good things to say about her. Number one, from Jay Johnson, your words take us to another level. And another one is, you will not only be touched by Anita's words in this book, but you can feel the love and vibration in these words. She reaches out to your mind, heart, and soul. You'll be able to find yourself in those moments in time that she shares so openly, embracing fear, loss, despair, joy, love, peace, death, and rebirth. Her words radiate renewed hope and healing within a powerful presence. And actually, if you visit her website, you'll read more testimonials about her and her work. And I also have my personal sharing towards the end of the show. So stay tuned. And at the same time, here's another one. I felt this was smooth, had me connected to my feminine spirit and embracing the eclectic I am as a woman. Thank you, Anita, for creating such silky, smooth message, reminding me of the work of our greats. Uh, and this is by Maya Angelou and many others. So good morning, Dr. Anita. I know it's morning in your time zone, and it's actually evening here in Manila, Philippines. So how are you doing today?
Good morning, Satnam. Good afternoon. Good evening, everyone. I am doing wonderful. I am just blessed and honored, my son, to be
Yes,
with you
awesome.
this morning, this evening, this afternoon. So I'm floating on clouds right now. So thank you.
Wow. It's our pleasure to actually have you here, and I'm very excited because a lot of things got moved actually, but it all works together for the highest good in the end, which is today. And there are a couple of things that we want to talk about, but before I proceed, I know a bit of your background, but I know our viewers, of course, would like to know more about you, especially metaphysics. So I want to know your story and what for you is metaphysics. So how did you get started with metaphysics and what to you is its practical value?
Absolutely. Thank you so much. First of all, I'd like to share, because I always start this way. First of all, I am a mom of beautiful twin girls. two sons, handsome sons-in-law, and grandma precious five. So I always start out first and foremost, other than being a child of the Creator. Metaphysics. I started with metaphysics in the 80s.
Mhm.
What brought me there, of course, is the universe. However, before discovering, having blessed with learning about metaphysics, see, I've always been on a spiritual journey. I could say that spiritual journey began when I was 16, but I know it was before then. Even when thinking, and I was thinking today, I said, no, you know what? That spiritual journey has been with me as long as I can remember, because I've always wanted to know what my connection was with everything. And
Mhm.
growing up, the concept of for me, I can only speak for me, the concept of, even as a child, that there is a being in heaven which is outside of me, and then there is a man which is the supreme being. As a child, that was difficult for me to understand. Number
Mhm.
one, because I'm a girl. I was a
Yeah.
girl, and I said, well, and I would hear how we are created in the image. So I said, well, something must be wrong with me because I'm a girl.
Mhm.
Why
Yeah.
would God, He create me as a girl? And
Mhm.
the image is of a man. So I do believe that along with other things that occurred in my life, that was a component of a lack of self-esteem. Because if I'm
Mhm.
female and male is the it, then I must be
Yeah.
that man. And then also growing up saying, we are, you're a sinner, you're born a sinner, this and that. So that toppled on top of it. So my journey was always, I want it, very important for me, that I wanted to know my connection with,
Mhm.
with I didn't accept that man thing. I didn't accept that,
Yeah.
with the universe, with whatever it was. I didn't know. And even back then, I did not know that I was trying to tap into. I was trying to tap into a truth, but it just stored there. So in the 80s, me and my brother both. My brother, he chose Islam. He is Muslim. He's avid. I'm so proud of
Mhm.
him. He's an avid
Yeah.
Muslim. We went through Hinduism, Judaism, Zoroastrianism,
Wow.
all of them studying. I have my Gahanzan on top of my altar because I am a religious pluralist. I
Mhm.
embrace the religions and the spirituality, and accept, honor, understand, and love the other types of religion, because spirituality is a whole different kind of thing.
Yeah.
So we would go on our journey. I was crowned with in Buddhism, with the crowning of the sword and everything, and I embrace all of that. It was in the 1980s. Still, I was searching. I said, okay, wait, but there's that separate thing. Okay, how do I connect? How am I connected with all of this? Even at the age of 16, I remember walking down the street, and that led me to a really shadowed path, or on
Mhm.
a certain part of a journey, that praised the Creator that it did not transpire. But I remember being 16, and I'm looking up into the heavens, saying, I felt feeling lost. Like, okay,
Mhm.
I don't know this. I'm lost. I'm alone. I have my
Mhm.
family, but what is it I'm searching for? And the pronoun, the only thing I could think of is, I'm searching for you. I want to feel you. And the absence of that feeling just drew me to even a little, and I'm an artist too, so they say an artist can be temperamental and can experience out depression, and I know I can. That's why I every precious moment that I'm happy, I embrace it, because I know the abyss. I know the abyss, and I know I can get there. That's part of me, and I accept that. So what that path, along with those other things, led me to the universe, spirit leading people and started talking. And finally a sister said, hey, I invite you to our service. And it was Unity Church on 6 Mile in Detroit, Unity Church on 6 Mile, we call it West McNichols and Woodward. And it was then when I'm sitting up in the with the benches with the rest of the congregation, and when the head sister, when that minister said, okay, it is now time for meditation. I had not heard of meditation before. I had not practiced meditation at all. When we went into that meditation, I cried, because that was the first time that I felt a connection, and it wasn't a pronoun, it was a feeling. I felt something, and I said, thank you, I'm home.
Wow.
I'm
You know,
home.
I love what you said about connection, because one of the things that I really want to impart to our audience, especially as we go along our conversation, is having that personal relationship with God. Because, like you mentioned earlier about this image and likeness of God, from my point of view and my experience when I was growing up, it always sounded so good, but it didn't really have meaning until I learned new thought metaphysical principles. And I resonate with what you mentioned about unity, because we know that feeling that connection with the divine within us, and unity actually puts a lot of concepts together, brings people in divine harmony. And that's why I resonated with what you mentioned earlier. And especially, I think for every human being, regardless of being a professional metaphysician or not, everybody is actually a metaphysician. It's just a matter of recognition. But for you, how long have you been a professional metaphysician?
Um, Professional, it was, I would say, when I started going to get my bachelor's, and that was 2014, I believe, when I entered the studies of international metaphysical ministries. I believe that's when the profession came, yeah, and even maybe even before then, my son, because, well, and you know what? It depends on how we define professional. I guess professional means when you first gotten paid, or I don't know. So that's a relative term. Um, so I'll go with that. When I started thinking academically that I want to learn the academics of metaphysics. So I'll say around 2014. Yeah.
Awesome. How did you feel different? Because you've been an enthusiast about spirituality and understanding the nature of God for such a long time before deciding to take a bachelor's degree. What really changed for you when you got your degree?
Well, what changed for me, when I got the degree, it changed because it reinforced what I had been praying for and then listening to. Because at one point I decided, there are many holy books. Okay, there's the Vesta, Bhagavad Gita. There's many different, the Tao, the Holy Bible. I chose for Christianity, the Holy Bible. So I read between Genesis and Revelation, and it was until I embraced metaphysics that I actually started really reading the great metaphysician, Yeshua, where Yeshua says, Jesus says, the kingdom lives within, and then he goes on to say, and that kingdom is within. That was another aha for me, because when I read that, I said, that's the it that I was searching for, but I had never read that I may have read it, but it may have registered consciously. It did not register in my heart, or the surface of the heart. but it didn't register in before that nucleus where the of God rests in our heart. So
Yeah.
those are the things that brought me to or what I'm feeling as far as the metaphysics. And then also I have to mention, I spent 19 years tenure with the Michigan Department of Corrections. And I share with people, I've always been one of, especially when it comes to God, I'll say I'm from the state of Missouri. Universe, I've got to show me. So I'm the show me. So it was when I went into metaphysics and unity, I started meditating, and I would hear the Spirit say, you're going to have to leave that job. You're going to leave that job and bring in a prayer. Show me. And, we hear in our own voices, our own understanding. So I would stop meditating. I know I'm probably diverting for a minute, but this is a connection. So I stopped meditating because it scared me. And I'm a single mom. I have daughters in school in the 80s. They were in middle school or something. I said, I'm not going to quit my job with insurance and all that kind of stuff. So I stopped meditating. I said, I don't want to hear that. So it took a couple of years later, several years, I started meditating again. That message still kept coming. You're going to have to leave. Well, it got to be 19 years. It was so strong that I did. I left 19 years tenure with the Michigan Department of Corrections. I left one to help my sister care for our grandfather. I left so that I could, that was my path. That was my path to see. And there was a learning, like I for 7 years, I would say that I was in a severe financial hardship, but it wasn't years later till it taught me, no, I wasn't. That's how I saw it. But these are the things.
I like what you said about spirit calling to you during meditation, and you having that message about leaving your previous job and then doing something about your metaphysical practice. So would you say that's actually a calling? Because, my friend and I were talking about it this afternoon, and I was telling her, a lot of the things that we're talking about, purpose and calling and having this personal connection with God within you. And I was telling her about calling, and then she was telling me, I believe in that calling where you feel restless, that you're getting that voice. Would you say to you that was a calling? Would you categorize that experience as a calling?
I would categorize it as a calling. I also believe that, as all of us, we all have a calling. Me personally, I believe before we came on this planet, we had already established what our lessons, what we wanted to learn. So there's no difference. I mean, like we can say metaphysics and when metaphysics means, okay, going beyond what I see. So that's why when you say we're all metaphysicians, because we have to go deeper than external data. We have to tap into ourselves and go within ourselves. So we all have a calling, and that calling is that whatever, I'm like Ray Charles, whatever that thing you love to do, baby, and you do so well, that's your calling.
Yes.
Another
Yes.
part you can understand what your calling is if you're afraid. If you're afraid to share it with others, because that's the lesson we came here to learn, to get over, as Carl Jung would say, outgrow that fear and go into, like Moses. When Moses, I can't,
Yes.
I can't do this. And the creator said, I got you. Don't you know this? Yeah, you're going to overcome this fear and be the leader of these people. And that's the difference with every single last one of us. Sometimes we may say, I don't know what I'm to do. Yes, number one, yes, we do. But it's what you love. That thing you love to do, you do so well. You think, oh, please, nobody. It's just too easy. It's just too easy. And in the fact that, but I'm afraid. I'm afraid to be laughed at. I'm afraid it's not going to work. I'm afraid to be outcast. That is the calling.
Yeah, I love what you mentioned about going within, and what you mentioned about what Jesus said, that the kingdom of heaven is within you. Because one of the things that I want to emphasize in our talk today, when we talk about heaven, especially heaven comes from the Greek word Uranus, which means expansion. So the thing that you mentioned about letting go of fear and really going deep into yourself, whatever idea it is, the thing that you love to do, which you just mentioned, it's actually going to expand as you keep going within through your regular practice of meditation. And what was to you your point of focus during your early days of meditation, that 7-year period? What was your point of focus? Because you were, as you mentioned.
Right, that's 7 years. I gotta say, because of my consciousness, that's 7 years. My focus was on lack, that I didn't have enough to pay bills. I thought so because it was such a hardship. No, I can't say that I was sitting up there all mellow, meditating, saying, okay, everything is in divine order. I can't say that, because I was afraid for those 7 years. What I'm saying is that those 7 years taught me years later that, okay, I was blinded by what I didn't have. I saw what I didn't have, so I was blind by what I did have. I was blinded. I didn't see that the people in the apartment would say, you know what? They didn't know my situation, but they said, you know what? You're always on time with your rent. Skip this month. I didn't see people would knock on my door. My family and friends would call me angels. And they come on, or even Aim. Come on, Aim, let me take you out to dinner. Let me take you out to lunch. I didn't see that. I only saw my cupboards were bare. I only saw the coins that were in my hand, and it wasn't enough. That was the lesson. The lesson that I was to learn years later was that was my faith. That's what I saw. That was my truth. My truth is that I saw lack. When I'm here, I'm sitting right here, vibing high, I'm here. So that taught me that it's our perception, it's our lack of faith that, as Yeshua said, have faith of a mustard seed. Do you know? I'm learning herbalist because I'm an alchemist. I do my own soap, and all that kind of stuff. So I love this stuff. Do you know there's such a thing as a Fibonacci sequence?
Yeah.
The seed plants itself. Yeshua said, have faith as a mustard seed. That little mustard seed is planted. It grows a leaf. Then it grows another leaf. Then that plant says, you know what? Because I have one leaf, I'm supposed to have another leaf. So it grows another leaf. Then that plant says, wait a minute, I got 2 leaves, so I should have 2 leaves. So then it grows 2 more leaves. Then it says, well, wait a minute. I have 3 leaves, so I should grow another 3 leaves. So now you got 2 more, you got 5, you got 8, you got 13, you got so-and-so. That's the faith. That plant was saying, this is what's supposed to be happening, so this is what's happening. That is faith. And that just came to me this morning. Thank you. Thank you, Spirit. That came to me this morning. Our faith is to be just like the plant kingdom of which we are so close to, the Fibonacci sequence. We are to have faith that, hey, expansion is absolute if we have the faith of a mustard seed.
So would you say that's just wonderful that you mentioned it, because the last 3 weeks I was discussing in class about developing the mind power of faith. And apparently we hear so much about faith and strength and courage, and we keep mentioning it. And in metaphysics, we actually develop it through the spoken word, which I know, Dr. Anita, you're very good at. I personally benefited from your spoken word session with Namaste Sweet Thing.
Thank you.
And I shared it in class, and it's very, very powerful to restore your faith in yourself. And it's something that I think you should have that repetitive practice, because the thing that you mentioned about the mustard seed and this Fibonacci sequence, first, it actually expands internally.
Absolutely.
When you get into a spiritual practice, because one of the things I get constantly asked a lot is, when you work from within, which is using the power of your thoughts to demonstrate a material manifestation, people get frustrated when you're thinking about it for like 3 days and it doesn't manifest. And for you, how long should it take actually for a person to manifest that particular intention that they're wanting to demonstrate in the physical plane using the mind power of faith?
Well, my son, we are always manifesting by the power of
Yeah.
faith. We see everything that is in front of us is what we believe. It
Yes.
just depends on, is that what you want? See,
Mhm.
as far as, okay, I want to get with metaphysics.
Yeah.
Actually, metaphysics is the study of how we are connected with the universe, how we are connected with nature, and the study of our limitation in our connection with the universe. That's what metaphysics is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
no, it's a science, or it's a philosophy. However you want a religion, but our faith, what we believe, is what we see. So everything that I see around me is what I believe. The
Yes.
thing here is, the thing here, what for me, what I learned for me, and even during meditation, I heard, you are not going to trust the essence of me inside of you that you don't see if you don't trust that image you see in the mirror, which is you.
Yeah.
For me, I didn't trust. I look in the mirror. If I don't trust me, I'm not going to trust my intuition. I'm not going to trust that inner tutelage. I'm not going to trust that guidance side because I don't see it. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So as far as belief, we are always manifesting. The question
Yeah.
is, are we manifesting what we want? What we
Exactly.
want, we manifest what's in our consciousness, but that's the energy, that law of thermodynamics. It can't be created, can't be destroyed, but it can be transformed. If I'm
Yeah.
looking at something that I don't particularly care for, then, and that's the tap into you as well. Tap into you is that YOU, your own universe, your
Yeah.
feelings, your own emotions. That it's not always so positive and this and that. Tapping into you is also looking at the absence of forgiveness that's in our heart. Tapping into is also tapping into, what bitterness do I have? I just had a
Mhm.
dream last night. Universe is all, I mean, it's always speaking with us. I had a dream last night that it was really strange. This we're inside this house, and this crazy woman who's pregnant, this crazy woman is trying to get at us with knives and this and that and that, and we're trying to bombard, keep the doors closed and all this, and trying to keep her out, trying to keep
Mhm.
her out. There's many of us on the inside, of course we could tackle her, but I mean, she was deranged. We're trying to keep her out. And I said, okay. And I said, okay, Father, Mother, God, okay, what is that message? And I know I'm learning that the message may not come all the time. I mean, not right away, but it's always going to
Yeah.
come. Well, it just so happens I know. Okay, I said, this is for this this is for this radio show here, because it came so quick. There's something in me that I am keeping. My thought is keeping me binded from moving
Mhm.
forward. And that's the
Mhm.
part of tapping into us as well. It's saying, okay, I want to tap into all the dynamics, like the tree of life. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Inside of us is masculine and feminine energy. For years, raising my daughters, I used my didn't know it, but I used my masculine energy because I had to take care of my girls. So even sometimes,
Yeah.
you act like a man. I'm like, whatever. It wasn't until maybe 10 years ago or 5 years ago I decided I want to bring my feminine energy. Tapping into ourselves is, I just read this just recently. It says,
Mhm.
when we are able to align our feminine energy with our masculine energy and be in synchronization, that's spiritual mastery. Spiritual mastery is being able to know the masculine energy is the knowledge and the ideas. Feminine energy,
Mhm.
nurturing the manifestation, the understanding of those ideas. And then you have the loves and different things like that. So the faith, getting back to what you were saying, the faith
Mhm.
and manifesting, we are manifesting because everything begins with a thought, and thought with emotion or feeling has tremendous, it brings with it a tremendous experience of energies. So we are always, always, always manifesting according to our belief.
Yes, I like what you mentioned earlier because, back when I was growing up, I had so many dreams that I wanted to accomplish.
Mhm.
And when my dad was still alive, I was watching this news, and there was an 11-year-old girl who was
Okay.
driving an airplane. And when I was a kid, I would watch it a lot, and I would see myself doing the same thing. And when I was working already after graduation from college,
Uh-huh.
I worked for a BPO, a call center. So I was telling myself, imagine I did end up as a pilot, but now I still have the headset. So you see, I was telling myself that, it may not exactly manifest in the way that you're actually perceiving it, but maybe the elements of it actually come into play. So you know that as you keep learning it, you keep getting better and better at it. So I think if I really did exert all my energy into making it happen, it would really be possible. But it really depends because, like what you said earlier, you think a thought and then it grows and it grows and it grows. So with that particular thought, because we get a lot of thoughts, all of us, and we all have different desires, needs, and wants that we all want to fulfill. So, what would you advise someone who's actually getting into the manifesting process? They're hearing it for the first time. How are they supposed to choose what is it that would be the best for them in terms of exerting their energy and putting their focus on manifesting?
I would say, because I have my cup, high and high, learning to let go, trust in the flow. So that's the journey I'm on today. I would say, one, start looking in the mirror and
Mhm.
start seeing, measuring your trust, and then you want to expand on that.
Mhm.
Once that trust is expanded, start going to the grocery store and following your intuition. If you go to the grocery store, you have a list. Someone says get some bananas. Don't question it. Just get them. Just because now you're learning how to trust that inside, that guide inside. Then also, some people are goal setters. I'm not, and that's another thing that was like um, um, a liability for me because I allowed it to reduce my self-esteem and feel like a failure. Because everybody said, set a goal, follow your goal, yada, yada, yada. You gotta be this, you gotta be that. It didn't work for me. So I would, if you are a goal setter, then set your goal, but let them, let go of the control. If you
Mhm.
are an intention seer, see the picture because I've always done that. I I've always been one. I see the end result. I don't be worrying about the how. I didn't know what I was doing. I was just like, hey, how it works. I know it's just going to work. I would say to you, learn to trust who you are. Learn to trust that you are more than what you see. Learn to trust one thing, whether we accept it or not. We are energy. Learn to
Mhm.
know that your voice, your breath is a part of the universe. That you have a right to be here. I'm just a Dorada
Yeah.
now. Max
Yeah.
Earth. You have a right to be here. And whether or not you understand that the universe is unfolding as it should. Every experience that we have, it is for our soul's evolution because it is
Yeah.
expanding the elements of our soul. So trust, get simple with it, keep it simple, sweetheart, kiss it. Learn to trust who you are in the mirror. Learn to love who you are. Learn to trust you're on the inside. Have an intention and learn. The more you learn to trust you, the more you're going to learn that you are connected with the universe, and the more you're going to learn to be able to learn to let go, trust in the flow. I know once we doing that opposite positive, it's going to attract. So there ain't no need looking back. Ain't no need whatever I was thinking about in the past. So have the intention, see the big picture, and don't worry about the how. Just know that what you want to do is be able to listen. And with meditation, sometimes when we're meditating, we're still thinking. Meditation is not about thinking. Meditation is about listening. That takes work and it takes discipline. It takes a while to get to that point. Yes, we do, have the meditation, the Zen, the positive out, the affirmations, the this and that. But true yoga meditation is clearing your mind. We cannot receive messages of our connection with the universe if we have a cluttered mind. Okay, let me think this, let me think that, let me think. You've got to clear that mind out. And that's why I started doing meditations on in my group, and I'm going to start doing meditations on Saturday because that's so important. But yeah, people that, and not be so serious. I mean, have some fun with it. Life is fun. Life is we don't laugh at least 3 times a day. We need to up our game. We need to up our game because, and that's how those manifestations of what we want, as far as the of God, desire of God, that's how those things come, because we are resonating with on a higher vibration of emotions, of happiness, and then those feelings of joy. And the more we resonate with that higher vibration, the more the true of us is going to be attracted to us. The more, King David said, hey, we got dominion over this thing. The more we resonate, however we vibrate, intermingling is universal energy. However we are resonating, whether it be high, whether it be low, attracts like.
Yeah, I love what you mentioned about joy and doing what you love to do. Because prior to having the show, I've been making hashtags out of my passion to do what you love what you do, and love yourself better. I keep doing it daily for a really long time before I actually got the show. And I love it that you're putting out the importance of laughter, the importance of being joyful, the importance of letting go and trusting. And at the same time, ahead of all those 4 that you mentioned, to me, it's such a breakthrough experience to actually allow your intention to be the singular point of attraction. And it's such a powerful experience because I'm gonna have to learn how to let go of wanting to control, because in my coaching studies as a nutrition coach and as a fitness coach, one of the things that we constantly talk about is measuring things, and we can't just get it out of our system because it's how we get things done. But I love what you mentioned about intention, because it really does play a big role into demonstrating what you want and easing into the process. Because it's true what you said, you can't take it so seriously. In fact, I always get that comment from a close circle of friends and family that I'm happy-go-lucky. But from my school of thought, we consider it a compliment because you're already happy and then you're lucky at the same time.
There's nothing wrong with seeing the world through rose-colored glasses. And I'm gonna share with you what the catalyst, the aha, you mentioned aha moment. The aha for me, and knowing as far as that intention, the confirmation, was last year when I went to Thailand, to do spoken word. Before then, I had just said, I'd like to travel with my spoken word. Now, I didn't put conditions. I'd like to travel to California. I'd like to travel to Canada. I'd like to travel throughout the local area. I'd like to do this. I left it. And that came later. Somehow things come later. I simply said, I'd like to travel. The universe took me to Thailand.
Awesome.
Because I let it go. I saw an intention that I wanted to travel, and I left the how alone. I would never in my consciousness, this consciousness, yeah, this here, yeah, but I didn't see that's that part of the layer that we don't see, you got to tap into. But in my consciousness, I never would have thought, wow, I'll be doing spoken word on in another part of the world. Never. But I left it alone. I left the how alone, and the
Awesome.
universe did its thing. So
I love that you.
that's a confirmation of have the intention and trust. Just trust the flow, trust the process. Learn to trust. If one thing, if I could say, have the intention, learn to trust the process and let it go. Because once you let it go and learn to trust the process, you are going to intuitively start going toward making the steps that you need to do to get to that place, because there are thousands that on our journey, we're reaching thousands of destinations. There's always going to be a destination.
Yeah, thank you for affirming that. That you have to tap into you. And earlier you were actually pointing to the heart, because one of the things that I'm a big advocate for is for people to tap into their heart intelligence and to connect to their hearts and see that it's such a valuable thing, because we've gotten so cerebral about the way we're making decisions. And I think it's such a limited way of bringing ourselves into a point of decision making, because we're only pointing out to two options. Either you go right or you go left. But this feeling of joy that you mentioned, this feeling of learning how to laugh at the situation, and the thing that you mentioned about meditation, the thing that you mentioned about intuition and listening for signs. It's such an important thing that I want to get across our audience, because it's one of the things that I've learned, especially when I'm wanting to manifest something and it doesn't come in the package that I actually want. Now I'm beginning to tell myself, show me the beauty of this experience. How is it connected to what I'm desiring?
Oh, yeah.
Because the thing that you mentioned about, intending, letting it go, and then taking the information in. This is something that I want our audience to understand, because people are now thinking that, no, you're just going to have to think about this. And if an experience comes that is not in alignment with it, it's only your cerebral part of yourself that's actually thinking that it's not related to it, but it actually is. So I want to share an example about what you mentioned about listening, because this morning I was telling myself, I was talking to God, and then I was saying, God, let me handle all the things that I need to do today, and please take care of the rest of all the people, circumstances, and other details that it's going to be on your part. So I was confident that I had to do a couple of things today, and then, it's funny, but I left my keys somewhere.
Okay.
And then I was telling myself, so now I get into this experience, and I'm asking him, what's the beauty of this? How does it play in my getting prepared for the things this morning? So you're going to judge the experience automatically that this isn't related to what I was telling myself or my conversation with God earlier. And then in the process of you thinking that you've screwed up, you begin beating yourself up for it. But if you go into that playful connection with the universe, you're actually going to see the beauty of the experience. But you have to let go of your judgment about it. And, I love that you mentioned it, because I noticed this a lot about people of a certain age. They always tell people my age, hey, you know what? You have to loosen up. You have to let go of you being so serious and putting things down in this direction format, thinking that it's gonna be 1, 2, 3 steps and that's it. Because the beauty of metaphysics is that you're presented with the principles, but it doesn't really come in exact colors the way you were told in the class. So it's important to develop that intuition. So what do you advise, Dr. Anita, someone who's just beginning to understand metaphysics, the power of intention, the power of listening to the universe? How do they sharpen their intuition?
Ask for guidance.
All right. So
Yeah, just ask for guidance. To me, there's no scientific or intelligent or different things. Simply ask for guidance. And if you don't know how to ask for guidance, then ask to be shown how to ask for guidance. It's all about that connecting with that universal energy. One, recognizing that there is universal energy and that we're connected and that we are supported by this universal energy. Once we get that, and then just asking and then believing. As your faith the size of a mustard seed, believe that what you're asking for, you're going to receive.
yes. And the thing that you mentioned about asking for guidance, because normally for the guidance thing, do you ask specific questions about it? What's your process like for you?
No. I have something because if I may say I'm confused about this thing, help me. I leave it alone because I recognize that help can come from you. That help can come from, I may pick up a book. I've gotten so much ahas watching a TV program, a sitcom. So I don't put it where, I don't put the stipulations on how I see. I just say, okay, help me, and I leave it alone. And I just know that I'm going to get help. I may not understand some of the part of the help. Some of the help might be ouch. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that's not what I'm not asking to put no conditions. I'm not saying to help me the way I think I should be helped. I done learned a long time ago. I don't know nothing because I would, be in a marriage of 30 years or something. You know what I mean? I may be a millionaire, or something. So I'm learning to say, hey, you know what? No, I don't want none of that. I want that real stuff coming. This artificial. I'll leave that alone.
Yeah, but I like what you mentioned when you don't like the guidance, for example, and the guidance is painful, and the guidance is making you grow because the growth part is actually the missing portion of a lot of manifesting classes now. And it's something that I want people to realize because if you see the questions that I get constantly, I get asked a lot about that portion, but very few teachers actually talk about growth, the necessity for growth for you to actually experience the intention that you've been wanting to manifest. How important is it to actually grow into the experience?
Okay, and I'll answer that. This is off the topic here. Reverend Reg, I want you to look in the chat. I think there's a message for you.
So anyway, we're gonna reserve the answer. When we're back, we're just gonna pause for a short commercial break. Stay tuned, everyone.
We'll be back shortly. This is Practical Magic, your practical mystic source. Only here on V81 Radio, South Manila. Connected ka na ba para laging updated sa mga bagong shows, promos, trending news, viral videos, events, o patok na OPM hits? Just follow us on Facebook at V81 Radio South Manila. Simple lang, itype lang ang letter V81 Radio South Manila. O di ba madali lang, kaya i-like at i-follow na. niyo ba ng bagong tracks na mapapakinggan ngayong October?
Pwede bang magpakilala? Is that I better left as I'm walking? Ba't sabi mo hindi mo ko iiwan?
Abangan at tumutok lang tuwing Sunday, 1 p.m. dito sa Napalm, your new all-Pinoy alternative music source. At makijam, kasama si Ram Martinez, Isotone, Susakali, at CD and the Years. Dito lang yan sa Napalm, your new all-Pinoy alternative music source. Exclusively on V81 Radio, South Manila. Kabayan, nahuhomesick ka ba? I-download na ang aming mobile app at mag-enjoy sa mga kantang tatak Pinoy and feel like you're home. The V81 Radio mobile app, available in the App Store and Google Play Store. V81 Radio mobile app, free now, free forever. Are you ready to explore a new kind of music? Yung bang kakaiba na hindi mo pa napapakinggan, mga bagong artist? Nagugulat sa inyo sa kanilang awit at tugtugan. Discover them, hear them in Napalm Hour. Ang Napalm ay ang new all-Pinoy alternative music source na para sa kakaibang musika. Alternative artists and bands all the time. Catch them at Napalm Hour. Mondays through Fridays, 12 noon to 1 p.m. and 8 to 9 p.m. Streaming live on V81 Radio mobile app. Kaya i-download mo na for free. Now na! Talagang October to remember dahil hindi din puhuli ang ibang Viva OPM artists na sasabak sa kantahan sa Home Not Alone Songs from Home Season 2 kasama si Papa Gio, Yumi Laksamana, Isid, Solstice, Just Rap, and Sabu. Kaya iset nyo na ang mga kalendaryo nyo tuwing Merkules 7pm California time o Huwebes 10am Pinas time. At samahan si Papa Gio para makipagkulitan, awanan at kantahan sa Home Not Alone Songs from Home Season 2. Dito yan sa V81 Radio, Los Angeles. Now back to Practical Magic, your practical mystic source. Only here on V81 Radio, South Manila.
Satnam, everyone. My name is Reverend Reg, and I'm your host for Practical Magic. And I'm here with Dr. Anita Caprice, where we're talking about Namaste Sweet Thing and the importance of tapping into you to actually discover the magic that you've been waiting for, which is actually right within you. So now I just asked her a question earlier about growing into the experience of manifesting, because a lot of the things that I get asked a lot is about the law of attraction, that you're just going to think about things and it's actually going to manifest in your experience. So I'm going to give the floor now to Dr. Anita to answer the question, how important is it actually to grow into the experience of manifesting your intention?
How important? First of all, I gotta say, I love the music. I love B81 radio music. Okay, I just gotta give a shout out.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, how is it important to
grow into the experience? Because one of the things that you mentioned earlier, you said you had this calling about leaving your previous job in the insurance company. And then for 7 years, you had that awakening experience. And then you actually evolved into that space where you were already prepared to tell yourself that you're finally going to leave your job and you're actually going to go into your metaphysical practice. Because I think for people, we think of the manifesting process as just the awareness that's switching onto that decision that you were going to be a metaphysical professional. But for me, it was actually a process of growing into the decision where, you know what, for 7 years I was confused. But finally on that 7th year, you had that realization that here I am, I'm actually going to do something with this calling that I've been getting from my meditations. So to me, I consider it as a growth experience before you actually manifested this metaphysical practice. Because another question that I get a lot in connection with manifesting and growth and intention is how do people shift from getting into a job that actually pays for the bills and then moving to the space where they're actually doing the thing that they love to do?
Well, I have to say, when I left my job of 19 years, it wasn't, to establish a metaphysical practice.
Mm.
Again, it was to grow in my relationship with the Creator.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the first thing of anything. It's like Oprah said, if you're doing something for the money of it, 9 times out of 10 may not happen. If you do things for the love of it, don't worry about the money, then those things will happen. Now, I did 19 years with corrections. I was started with a receptionist, a stenographer, then I became a confidential secretary, then administrative secretary in the prison. Now, that was as I'm taking care of my daughters. However, those 19 years taught me the value of organization. The universe is order.
Yeah.
So although I was doing this job, and and I considered it a career, I was very proud of it. Like, okay, I'm doing something here, showing my daughters. The underlying truth of it was that I was learning. So if we're in a place, one thing I would say is to learn to be grateful in
Yes.
the place that we are, because when it's time to move, I would not have moved from that 19 years of Michigan Department of Corrections if my soul, or if I was not ready, if my spirit, now my consciousness wasn't ready, because I was scared. I said, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Even one of my friends in human resource, she said, Anita, why don't you take a waive rights leave of absence? That way, if it doesn't work, you can come back. And I said, I can't do that, because if I do that, that means I'm lacking faith already. Before I even step out that door, I'm saying I'm lacking faith. So I couldn't do that. So it wasn't to transition into a metaphysical counselor. It was the continuation of my journey that, okay, I want to know my relationship with the Creator, with the universe. That's my path. So the jobs and things, every place where we are at any given moment, we can learn. There's a lesson to be learned. And when we learn that lesson, then there will be opportunities that are going to be opening up. I represent unemployed workers who've been let go, fired, whatever, from their job. Some have been where they feel they were just totally messed up. And I would share with them, I said, I know you probably don't see this now. A door is going to open up for you. Whatever lesson that you needed to learn in that space, you learned it. Concentrate on what that lesson was, because once you learn what that lesson was and is, then you're going to, without not no blood, sweat, and tears, you're going to be shifted into that next phase of where you're supposed to be, to go. So we are always, I don't believe in, miss the boat. To a extent, I believe if you hold on to unforgiveness here, you're going to miss some of those blessings. But that's supposed to be, because until you learn that, okay, I better let go of some of this stuff so I can get this. So that's the lesson to learn. So there's no coincidences. So any place that we find ourselves in a job, if it's for a job or career or whatever, we may feel dissatisfied. Try to get that dissatisfaction out of that consciousness, out of that thought, and say, okay, what is it that I'm supposed to learn here? Because whatever I'm supposed to learn here, it's going to propel me. It's going to help me. I need to learn this before I can go over there.
Yes, I love that you mentioned it, that it's actually a continuation.
Absolutely.
Because it's the thing that I've been trying to get across a lot of the questions about this manifesting process. Because now in the Philippines, so many manifesting classes are being taught.
So many
and
what?
so many manifesting classes are being taught. And it's actually amazing for me because you're beginning to realize that more and more people are actually drawn to metaphysics in one way or another with different modalities, with different frameworks that actually work for them. And one of the things that I keep emphasizing to everyone, I agree with you when you said that this thing that you think is not related to what you're aiming for, they're actually all related because you're developing certain qualities, and the lessons that you draw out of those experiences are necessary for you to move into that space, whatever that may be for you, to actually uh, be more complete in that space. And even I had to learn that. I had so many lessons. um, and contrary to what you're telling me, that you just allow and you're playful about the whole experience, I've always wanted to have the awareness, not miss out on details, so I can write it in a book or write it in my journal for me to understand the inner process that's actually taking place. And I just love this whole conversation because you're actually bringing life into the process, that you're able to share that, for 19 years, you were bringing into the experience this particular male energy, male aspect of you to fend for your daughters, and moving to that place where you were going to apply more of your yin energy. So even that takes wisdom when you're actually going to apply which aspect of your energy is needed in the situation. And it takes growth to actually, or wisdom, or just opening yourself up to the divine, knowing when to apply what, when the moment comes up. So, and when because I'm now moving into you opening yourself up into the awareness that you wanted to come up with a tap into you movement. What was the aha moment for you when you said, hey, I think I'm going to form something that's going to be a movement for people to actually go within, and I'm actually going to call it Tap Into You?
Okay, that
What
was
it like?
Sure, that was it. And first, I want to say, what we're talking about, we all go through like the rhythms, universal law rhythm and different things like that, polarity. So we also, even me just talking about this stuff, I still struggle with certain things. So don't get me, I'm not sitting up here and say, oh, I got the answer to everything. No, 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 because I have my fears and everything just like everybody else. I mean, just the other day I was crying because I was confused and lost. So I just want to get that out there. The tap into you. It is that came about because, again, that soul evolution. I know what it feels like to feel alone. I know how I felt separate from God, Creator, Most High God, the universe, however you want to Satnam, Ra, however you want to say this. I know how that felt, and the hopelessness and the aloneness. And there are so many of us that feel so separated because we're we're externally driven. We will embrace, engage, and entertain thoughts of other people more than we will of our own. We trust opinions of others than we trust our own self. Sometimes, the tap into you. Yeah, just yesterday I was reading about the oldest book, priest Pahotep, and I believe I'm pronouncing his name correct. He was to be a pharaoh. I was reading about him, and then my sister friend, I go to my mailbox, and she sent me a beautiful gift, Michelle Brown, of her book Unleashed Love, Love Unleashed. And as I was reading that book, and I was sharing with her, I said, today is the day of reading. Well, as I was reading this intellectual, learning about the wisdom of priest or vizier Pahotep, it dawned on me, no, sometimes we have to put down the intellectual, what other people think. about their particular perspective and pick up something that resonates. So I picked up this book about her life, and I was like, I was reading my own. Sometimes you gotta put down the intellectual books. Let me learn about this. Let me learn about that. Let me learn about this. Let me see how this expert says. Let me see how that expert. I have just, not to be saying stuff, but it is the truth. I don't know how many times I have said something, the exact same thing, and then someone may read it from from some expert that I didn't read the book, and they will quote that person. And I said the same thing. So I mean, oh, that was, saying, well known, whatever. But as soon as I read it from expert, okay, that's it right there. And I'm like, wow, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, it has. I'm not trying to be funny. And I'm not boosting my own horn. I'm just being
Yeah.
real. That has happened. I
Yeah.
don't know how many times that has happened. I'm like, wow. But anyway,
Yeah.
that's how the tap into you came. It's we have got to tap into. Do you know there's 1.4 million in the United States alone people that attempt suicide? I believe, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a scientist or anything like that, but in my heart, soul, and mind, I believe, because there is an absence of togetherness, of oneness with something greater. And that hopelessness and that helplessness gets to a point where somebody cannot take it anymore. And that hurts my heart. I could just cry even now thinking about that someone could be in that situation and feel there is no hope, there is no help, and then they end up killing themselves or attempting to kill themselves because because of the teachings, the erroneous teachings that some of us have been taught. And that is the Tap Into You movement. That's why I did the Tap Into You movement.
Wow. Thank you for doing it, because I don't know when you started it, but a couple of years ago, I was taking my first college degree, and one of the things that I had to deal with was suicidal thoughts. I was trying to establish something with a friend. It didn't work out very well. We were in business, and I took a leave of absence because I thought I was gonna make it, and it didn't work out very well. So I felt so ashamed with that failure, because it's true what you said. When you're taught separation from source, all kinds of insecurities pop into your life, and then you talk yourself out of worthiness. And in fact, back then, I didn't even know I was worthy just because God made me so. And it was actually metaphysics that taught me that I am one with God and God is within me. And there is no way I'm going to need some external thing to make me whole. And it's such an important thing to realize that, because a lot of the insecurities that are coming up is because we think that we're separated from God. And we really thought about the technology of us being made in the image and likeness of God. And now that I've gotten over it, I feel that I'm on a mission to really make people understand that source is within you, God is within you. You just have to connect to higher consciousness, whatever it is that you want to call it. And thank you for doing that, because I didn't know that that was your inspiration for Tap Into You. How long has Tap Into You movement been in existence?
Let's see, I got a state mark, I believe it was 2014 when I registered with the state of Michigan. So it's actually a state mark, like a state trademark.
Yeah. I love what you mentioned. I love what you mentioned, because it does resonate with me. A lot of the things that's keeping me courageous about a lot of the things that's really cracking a lot of generational beliefs in my community has something to do with people imposing their beliefs onto others that make people feel that they're separated from source. that they're separated from God, because that's, for me, that's the root of all problem. Because when you don't know that God is within you, and that whatever it is that you're feeling and thinking about constantly, that's what you're vibrating, that's what you're also attracting into your experience. So thank you for the awesome work that you're doing. I'm very sure that a lot of people who are listening right now are opening their hearts into the space where they're more aligned to source within. And it's funny because we're actually moving to the next segment where we're getting more personal. And I mentioned earlier in the introduction that I was going to have my own testimonial about me working with Dr. Anita Caprice. So I know there's always divine timing for things, why we meet certain people and why we do experience certain things in our lives. And, you know, I love my mom. She's one of the kindest people I know. She's also one of those people who really took the time to teach me how to read. And a lot of the things that I know now, I know because of my mom and I know because of my dad. But because of programmings that make people feel separated from source, they also come into the space where a lot of people questioning their self-worth. We're measuring our self-worth based on, you know, what other people think is good for us. And, you know, I have to share this to our audience because prior to manifesting the show, there was a time in my life when I was really wanting to get into the space of building a stronger personal relationship with source within me. So I stayed in an apartment for about 2 months. And here in my country, it's one of the craziest thing a person would do because we're all used to staying in our family home where you are comfortable and everything is well provided. But in that 2 months of stay where I was squeezing most of my creative juices, I had one of the most amazing phone calls with Dr. Anita. And I know it was divine intervention because we don't usually talk. And it was my last day in the apartel. And you said something that really shifted me emotionally. And it was like getting energetic surgery of some sort because you mentioned that, you know, Reg, you're not getting into the momentum of what you want to happen because you're still carrying all the guilt and shame because you're not in that space where you're accepting yourself because you're still measuring your self-worth based on what people think should be an ideal thing. And you mentioned to me, but if you're in the States and you're fending for yourself and you're trying to make something of yourself, we will be very proud of you. It shifted me. And this show, it came as a result of that conversation. You were one of those people who really helped me out, heal one of my biggest insecurities. And I would consider that a big insecurity because in the Philippines, we're expected to actually take care of our families and be there to financially support families. And of course, what I'm able to contribute is it will not compare to what my two other siblings are able to contribute. And I always get compared to that. So thank you for those words because I don't think you were in that space where you really wanted to heal me, but somehow the divine was actually talking to you. And I would think about it. You know how you're thinking about something for a very long time and then something comes up and that moment really shifts you. So thank you for that.
Oh, you are welcome. Well, you know, it's a duo, my son, because during that same conversation, did I not start crying? Did you not help me because of a guilt that I was experiencing? I'm sorry, because feeling is a spirit that I was experiencing, because my daughters were helping me financially, and that
Yeah.
bothered me. And
Yeah.
you helped me to see it is about love. It is
Yes.
unity, love. It's not about the mom, what strata, the strata levels that I was on, thinking it was my responsibility to take care of my daughters, not their responsibility to take care of me. And you said, don't you think that your daughters are loving, that they are able to help you? And that is what shifted me. And that even made me cry more because of the real, oh, Lord have mercy, because I'm sensitive. I'm a crybaby, and I can get ready to cry now. So I just want to say thank you. See, this is a dual thing here.
Yeah.
It's synergy here. Universe was talking, God was talking through both of us, helping, healing both of us. You know what I mean? So I love you. I love
Yeah.
you, my son.
I love you too. And thank you for that. And of course, I love my mom. I love my parents. It's just amazing when you're able to reconcile a lot of your insecurities in the past and find something that really resonates with your heart and find that healing space inside of you. And I'm very grateful for that encounter. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
And thank you to my mom as well. And so another thing that I want us to get into is to invite find you and what can they expect from you next so that they can interact with you and that they can get into the tap into you movement.
Oh, sure. Right now, I'm offering as a wellness and well-being consultant. I'm offering a 30-minute free consultation. So if you know, I'm a massage therapist too, so I'm a lot of things. So as a wellness and well-being consultant, I am offering a 30-minute consultation. If you know your blood, see, our blood is our lifeline. That's also about tapping into ourselves, tapping into the legitimate needs, as Matthew Perry would say: physical, spiritual, intellectual, emotional. So this 30-minute consultation we will have I will let you know what foods nourish your blood so that your blood can nourish you. And then also we know that disorder, disease is 80% emotional, 20% physical. We'll tap into that, and just have some fun together. So so you can get some knowledge about that. What to eat. Like for instance, my blood does not. Black pepper is not conducive for my blood. So I use cayenne pepper, just things like that, the things that we might not even know. And then also, I have my Reflections of an Angel. It's an ebook.
Yes.
It is normally $7.99, but for you guys, you mentioned the show. You mentioned Reverend Reg, and that book is available for you for $5. You can purchase that book by going to PayPal. You can use PayPal since I know we're across the waters, and that's capriceap@yahoo.com. That's the PayPal address. C as in charming, A P as in precious, R I C as in charming, E as in excellence, A. P as in Paul at yahoo.com. That is the PayPal to purchase the book. And then at the bottom, you see you can email me at vibinhigh369 VIBINHIGH 369 at gmail.com to schedule your 30-minute free consultation. I'm doing this to say thank you because Reverend Reg, this is a blessing. This is an honor. So I wanted to do a pay it forward and prayerfully bless others. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you so much for your generosity. I learned so much, and I trust that our audience is able to pick up a lot from the show. And if you have other questions, just feel free to send a comment. And at the same time, I also want to give way to say thanks to the following: Kim Poy, Nanette Ponzalan, thank you so much for the food. That was really awesome. Japanese Korean food, and Benedictine International School for letting me use the facilities. Reverend Florence and Bob Monzon. I'm using their laptop right now, which is actually something that I was intending since last year. So it was really awesome that I get to use this. So, it's one of the things that gets into the process of manifesting, and you just have to be grateful, like what Dr. Anita mentioned earlier. I think gratefulness is such an important experience for you to experience more magic in your life. And at the same time, I want to remind everyone you're actually the magic you've been waiting for. And here in the show, we're going to invite more speakers for you to tap into yourself, the powers that you have within, so you can manifest more of the magic that you already are and let the magic freely flow into your space. And having said all that, I want us to end with a simple prayer from Unity. And before I start with the prayer, I want to thank V81 Management and our team, Dax, Robbie, Dean, thank you so much. My bosses, Sir Rolly and Sir Nathan, Sir Charlie, and also Dr. Cindy Palos, the International Metaphysical Ministry. We have an ongoing scholarship in University of Metaphysics and University of Sedona. So for those of you who want to get into life coaching or you want to become a meditation teacher, please visit www.universityofmetaphysics.com. And you're also invited to our Satnam Prayer and Meditation Circle. And I also encourage you to be part of the Tap Into You movement. I'm part of it. And I'm happy that Dr. Anita keeps coming up with daily vlogs reminding us that we are the greatest miracle in the world. We are the magic that we've been waiting for. And to my friends, you all know who you are. Thank you for being supportive, and my family, of course. Thank you, everyone, for supporting us. Dr. Cindy Palos, Dr. Diana Viuni, my Reiki master, Isa Ginhawa, and Baybayin, Nini, Attorney Torio. Thank you so much, everyone. And I just want to invite everyone for a simple prayer. Please close your eyes. And together, let's affirm the light of God surrounds us, the love of God enfolds us, the power of God protects us, the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. And so it is. Thank you, everyone, and see you again next week. And we have Dr. Diana Vihuni for our next episode, where we're going to talk about the art and science of real magic. See you all next Sunday. Satnam.
Thank you. Blessings, peace, and love,
Thank
everyone.
you. Thank you, Mom. I'll have you again for the next episode. Satnam.
Consistently delivering the very best in metaphysics here in Practical Magic, your practical mystic source. Till next time, only here on V81 Radio, South Manila. Walang kasing saya ang Paskong Pinoy. Dumaan man ang problema at pandemya, kayang-kayang lampasan basta't nagdadamayan at nagmamahalan.
Ho, ho, ho! Merry Christmas!
Tuloy na tuloy pa rin ang Pasko dito sa V81 Radio, South Manila.
Ito ang paborito ng bawat Pilipino. Basta all hits,